What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for jumping into another video. My name is Josh and I am just your average Joe day trader. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about what happened this week. We had a crazy ride of a week, volatility like you wouldn't believe, earnings going crazy up and down in both directions. You either were making money or losing money, depending on whether it woke up the market red or you woke up the market green. There was just so much going on today and in the news, and it continued to happen all day today, Friday, August 8th, running all the way up till now. It's after 10 p.m. and there's still news that's been coming out just with craziness. All you have to do is turn on any of the media outlets and you're going to hear about some of the stuff that's been going on, coming out of the administration, coming out of the White House, coming from other countries, from all over the world, that potentially is driving and drawing the market in many different directions, not just up and not just down. So let's start a little bit with some of the news that happened during the week and some of what was released today, because of course it's Friday. And what do we love to do on Friday late in the day? We love to release news that has an impact on the market and sometimes causes the market to go in the opposite direction or run down, where then you have to wait all night Friday and Saturday until Sunday night at 8 p.m. when the market opens back up to see if the NASDAQ, the S&P 500, if the Dow Jones, what do they do when the market hits that 8 p.m. hour? Does it gap up? Does it gap down? You have to wait and see. And literally it's like being on pins and needles to know what your portfolio is going to look like when we get to Monday morning each weekend through to that following week. But we did have a really good week. Now, you could have had a really bad week this week because there were a lot of stocks and things that went in the wrong direction. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you things were beautifully perfect. But if you're a day trader, if you're a retail day trader, and you're not allowing the politics and the different things in the media and social media and Reddit and X and all these things to affect you, you can still pick and choose those companies that have very consistent earnings for you, right? Now, I keep saying earnings because I've been talking about earnings all week, but what I mean is profit. You can pick stocks that have a good flow of running up and running down within the day, that you're able to make a good profit from each and every one of those stocks that you trade. For me, none of that political, news, any of that stuff that happens really affects me in my trades. Now, if there's something specific to the tech sector, does it affect me? Of course, because I generally trade in the technology sector, APLD, BBAI, AMD, Tesla, which is obviously an electric car company, but still part of the Mag 7. You got NVIDIA, Palantir, right? All these stocks that generally are affected by news where the tech sector is affected. But you also have to know that I trade a lot within the S&P 500. So I can tell you directionally if the S&P 500 is running up or it's running down. I know what my stocks that I love to day trade are going to be doing that day. You have to sort of wait to see the turn. So you're like, okay, the S&P 500 all day long today, and great example, I'll show you the charts in a few minutes, was on a horrible running down from the pre-market all the way through market open through most of the day until about, I want to say 1:30, 2 o'clock. The S&P 500 had some run down, and then it turned around and it was on a nice run up. Well, guess what? Everything else ran up. APLD, I took profit out of APLD today. But again, based on what's happening with the S&P 500. So what happened in the news today? Well, some really interesting stuff going on. Some we believe is potentially impacting the market. Some is not, because some is already old news that continues to be regurgitated and it's already priced in. But some is new, like this one right here. And one thing I can tell you is that my wife, who is originally from Ecuador, always tells me, like, news in the United States, it's garbage compared to what you see or hear in other countries, what the other countries learn about the United States, right? Like, we don't hear a whole lot about what's going on in all these other countries. So one of the things that I like to go to and look at, and listen, if you don't believe me, go take a look at it yourself. But if I want real news, if I want to really, really know what's going on in the United States, I can't trust CNN or Fox News sometimes, okay? There is a media outlet called Al Jazeera, all right? And yes, it's a Middle Eastern news outlet, but they report on everything. And some of the things they report on, which most of the time when you read them, they're the truth. And you're like, dang, how come we're not talking about this in the United States? Well, I think like sometimes our US government and news doesn't want us to hear everything. They don't want us to know everything because they know that potentially some of these things could crash the stock market, could crash the housing market, could be bad for the economy, could be bad for employment and all those things, right? So we don't really like always hear about all those things. But Al Jazeera News today reported that President Trump signed an order authorizing military action against cartels. Okay. Now, I know we had heard something about this within the last couple weeks, that he was talking about going after cartels, that cartels would be basically, identified as terrorist organizations. And that's great. That's fine. But we don't hear about like what's happening, right? And so today, apparently, he signed this order that is authorizing the United States to take military action against cartels. Now, here's the thing. Here's what you're not hearing. Yes, that's true, and we may have heard about that in the news here in the US, but what other countries are reporting is that the other countries are being told that we will come to you. So if you cannot control your cartel, AKA Mexico, you can't control the Mexican cartel, we're gonna send our military in to make the change, to go after the cartel. And Mexican politicians today responded back by warning the United States by saying any action taken against criminal groups on our soil in Mexico would be a considerable violation of their sovereignty. You want to know what Trump's answer to that is? I don't really care. We're going to do whatever we're going to do. So, and President Trump had previously offered to deploy U.S. troops to Mexico back in April, right? When he said, hey, we'll send our troops to April so that we can help you get rid of some of these, these terrorist organizations, these cartels. So secretly today, he signed an order directing the military to take action against drug smuggling cartels and other criminal groups from Latin America. And even the New York Times is now reporting on that. So anyway, just one thing in the news. And obviously, when you hear it and you're like, whoa, like that's big news, man. And it does sometimes affect the market one way or the other. But the one thing that I really did like hearing about, okay, and if I haven't shared it with you and you don't know, I'm 51 years old, okay, I guess you'd say I'm in the middle of my life, right? I'm no longer in the younger part of my life. I'm in the middle. At least I hope 51 is the middle. Well, one thing that Trump did do, which I think is incredible for all of us, is he signed an executive order that actually clears the way for cryptocurrency and private equity in 401ks, in retirement plans, right? This executive order is intended to give investors more options. But here's the thing about it. A lot of the employers, the experts say that the employers, you're gonna have to tread very carefully before adding these alternative assets. There could be a lot of loopholes. There could be a lot of problems with it. But I'm gonna tell you, I think it's a great thing for our, retirement plans, for our future generational, coming up, for the generation coming up. I just think it's really good. And he signed this on Thursday. So obviously, I'm even a day late on the news on this, but he signed this executive order directing the Labor Department to reevaluate guidelines for crypto, private equity, and real estate assets in retirement plans, which is huge. Because personally, like my wife and I, we own real estate, we have rental properties, we have our 401ks, we have our retirement, stock retirement plan. We're in the stock market, obviously, that's why I'm here, right? So we try to be kind of diversified. We have a Voya account. We're invested in ETFs through also the S&P 500 through Wealthfront, right? We got so many things trying to go on to secure our future so we can retire one day and never have to look back, right? I don't want to be 75 years old at a supermarket bagging groceries because I ran out of money too early, right? I want to know there's enough to live off dividends, live off my retirement properties, businesses, whatever it's going to be that's going to help me to secure my retirement plan. So that was another big thing in the news today. And then the other thing is that President Trump also signed an executive order basically creating a task force for the 2028 Olympics, which are going to be in Los Angeles. Duh, smart move, right? LA is going crazy right now with all the looting and all the, just the stuff going on geopolitically. So I think that was a smart idea, and, we'll see how that goes. And of course, if you heard or you didn't hear about it, there's now the Pelosi bill. And this Pelosi bill is basically geared towards ensuring that politicians, congressmen, the vice president and president, which he said like, hey, they need to be included. Trump said originally the vice president and president were not included. He's like, yes, they better be included because, top down, but basically says that while you're in office, for that period of time that you are in office, you cannot trade. You can't day trade. You can't swing trade. Okay. And there's a lot of things that go along with that because now you have to be careful, right? What if congressmen have 529 plans? What if they have college plans? What if they have accounts set up for their grandchildren, right? That are heavily invested in stock market, in ETFs, as S&P 500, like I do in Wealthfront. I have an account in there for my son, for my granddaughter, right? And basically that money is just building. One day, hopefully 10, 15, 20, 25 years from now, they'll have this account, look at it and be like, damn, that's awesome. That money is in there, right? Well, that also is considered trading. It's considered investing. So there's still a lot of questions and a lot of, challenges with what's going on there. But anyway, enough about the news. I wanted to share a couple pretty cool things with you about what happened today. First and foremost, if you've watched my videos through the week, you know that I've been continuing to share with you, I'm an earnings guy, meaning I like to play earnings. You're probably hearing my dogs barking in the background too. Hence why I guess, I wore my bulldog, my Mac hat today. But I love to play earnings. I love to do the research. I love to look at, the companies and try to identify potentially who's going to have good earnings reports, who's going to have bad earnings reports. And it really doesn't matter to me. A bad earnings report is as good as a good earnings report. Bad earnings reports are actually a little bit better because I can get in cheaper. So if a stock comes up, they report bad earnings, it's pre-market or aftermarket, and the stock drops and it goes from say $15 a share and it drops all the way down to $8 a share. I'm doing my best to buy $8 a share right then, right now. And maybe it holds, maybe it's an after hours and it holds and now I've got to wait, but I'm in at $8 a share. And generally either through the night or the next day or even into a 48-hour period, if it was at 8, if it was at 15 and it went to 8, it's going back to 15. Usually, okay? I will tell you that I'm stuck in Chipotle right now. I got in Chipotle at $48 a share, guys. It's sitting right now at $41.50. And I'd have to go back and look to tell you what happened, but it basically dropped all the way down. It went and it shot all the way up and I tried to get in somewhere in the middle and I was in profit and I thought there was more room to go and it was like a rug pull and it got taken out. Now that is a risk of playing earnings, but here's what I'm going to tell you about that. I know my risk tolerance. I know how much I can trade and how much I can end up having it drop to either potentially take a loss, which you never sell. If you don't sell it, you don't lose anything, or you're bag holding and for how long I can bag hold, basically at that price. I bought 50 shares, okay? $48, it dropped down to like $44. It's continued to drop down. It's at $41.50. It's going to come back. It's Chipotle, okay? As soon as they figure out how to wash their lettuce properly and get whatever bugs out of it and stuff that they're talking about now on social media, they're going to crank back up. So I'm not worried about Chipotle. But I will tell you today, and we're going to look at the charts there. So let me just switch over to the charts right now. But one stock that I did, 2 stocks this week that I did play that I'm very proud of, the earnings report. Let me get on auto here. First of all was Dutch Brothers, okay? So Dutch Brothers had earnings, and guess what, guys? They had a phenomenal earnings report. I've talked about it in my previous videos. Not gonna spend a whole lot of time here. But you can see here on August 6th, which was Wednesday, at close is when they announced their earnings. And you can just see this beautiful gap up. I mean, a beautiful earnings report, beautiful gap up. Look at this. And it continued from 57.75 in the post market to 68.63, went through the 24-hour market into the pre-market, 69.89, opened up, dropped a little bit, which was basically, here's all your retail traders that love to sell off and take profit, but I know better. And I sat in it and waited, and it comes back. 71.80 was the high. That's when you get out of it, okay? And then what's it done? It continues to drop back down. And once it drops back down, look, today, even through the post and the pre-market, it was still back up, and then it came back down today. and had a little up, but guys, it's in that high 60 range. It's not going to stay there. It's now going to go from here back down to the 50s, and by the next earning report, I'm buying back in, and it's going to wash, rinse, repeat, do the exact same thing. So look up Dutch Brothers if you like earnings. Not financial advice, but it's one that I play every quarter and make money on every quarter, and it's like clockwork. The next one, and the one that I'm most proud of today, was SoundHound. SoundHound had unbelievable earnings, okay? Last night, SoundHound was literally hurting the last several weeks in the low 10s. You can see here that before we went into earnings, $10.45. Well, that's where I loaded up because I knew they were going to have good earnings. And if you look at the result here, $10.45 to a high in the post market of $12.20. It ran up in the middle of the night to $12.45, sort of stayed there for a while. Look at this one, still in the middle of the night, $12.40. Okay, and then when the market opened, it just launched. And here's the funny thing. It went all the way up here to $13.29. I got out somewhere here at about $13.09 or $13.19. And what did it do? It continued. $13.75, $13.78, $14.25. Okay. Incredible results for SoundHound today. And it's still sitting right now at market close at $13.59. Probably going to come down some more, but a really, really incredible earnings. I actually profited about $1,300 on my earnings play for SoundHound today. Very, very happy with that. Dutch Brothers, I earned in profit about $230 in profit, and just an incredible week. I feel very blessed. Thank you, Lord, for blessing me with that, but a really, really good week for earnings for me. Now, here's what didn't do good in earnings today. And I think I mentioned it yesterday. Just because SoundHound did amazing, Serve Robotics had the opposite effect of their earnings. Same time last night, market closed. Look at this. They were at 1073, about the same where SoundHound was, but from 1073 dropped down to $8.77. Spent a good amount of time last night in the post market and at open back to 1106 in the opening bell this morning, and then sort of came back down and just regulated there. But it did close at 1051, sitting at 1047 at the bell ring and 1042 right now. So either way you look at it, here's my example to you of a bad result, okay? A bad earnings result, which gives you an opportunity to buy it at $8.77, $8.87, $8.97, $9. And then you wait and see what does it do through post market. And when the market opens, say you're at $9, it launched up here to $11.06. And even if you weren't comfortable with it and you waited, you could have gotten out here at $10.86. You could have made $1.86 per share. Think about that times 1,000 shares, guys, or 500 shares, right? So this is why I play earnings. I love earnings, okay? A few things I want to share with you. I'm not going to go through every single stock tonight, although I will tell you APLD had a very challenging day today. I did trade APLD. I got into it twice today. I got in at one point here, went to take profit, started to drop, and I was like, let's just wait and see what happens. It literally lived right here in this channel all day. It was almost painful. And then finally, you see here at 1:30 in the afternoon, it finally kicked in. And you could have wrote it up. I wrote it up here from about, let's see, I was in it down here. Yeah, about 1372. I was in it at 1372. Got here and I was like, okay, this is not good. Like I'm totally losing out on this. And then it just launched and it went up and I got out of it at 1325, around 1325. No, where did the market close? I got out of it right before the market closed. Yep, right here. Didn't take profit at 1426. Hit this red candle. Was getting ready to sell out of it. Waited another minute because I knew the market was closing. We'd have a little last minute pump. We did. I got out at 1412. And then it continued through the night all the way up to back up to 1426. So again, I left money on the table. But guys, hey, I still profited on it. And that's the goal, right? All in all, a great week, a really, really good week. I also did what I was going to tell you guys I was going to do. I sold my Tesla. I sold my SoFi. I took profit on those, waiting for the dip. When they dip back down, I buy back in, do it again. I'm not holding them long-term anymore, at least in this account. My other account, my retirement account, yes, I've got long-term. many of the Mag 7, APLD, BBAI, Joby, Archer, okay, AMPX. Those are all long-term holds. I'm not even going to think about them. I forget about them. But in my day trading, I'm not holding them in here anymore. So, guys, that's kind of what the market did. Last thing I want to share with you is two things. AMPX. There's a lot of negative talk about AMPX. I'm going to tell you right now, AMPX has got the corner on the ion lithium batteries. They are going to rule the world with their batteries. Amazon signed them up. They are now providing all the batteries for their robotics. Okay, Joby and Archer are looking at partnerships, potentially deals with AMPX, with Amprius. All right, they're doing some incredible things. I'm a firm believer in them. I'm staying in them. I'm not going anywhere. I'm day trading them and long-term hold. They've had some challenges, and that's totally fine. Let me see if I can pull it up. Here you go. Closed at 806 today, sitting at 806. Some nice day trading opportunities in here. But guys, you know, this is a great company, great stock. Don't be asleep on it. You know, I'm not telling you to buy it, I'm not telling you to sell it, I'm not telling you to do anything with it. I'm just saying, do your own due diligence, do your own homework. Don't be asleep on this one. AMPX is going to be a great company, many, you know, moons down the road, but I think it's going to be an awesome company, and very excited about it. But I did want to share one with you, one that I've been pumping a lot and talking about a lot, and I still am a believer in it as well. But Joby Aviation, guys, they are, you know, between Joby and Archer, both of them are in the process of getting their commercial certifications, which means they'd be able to do commercial flights with their electric helicopters and electric, flying machines. They also have a lot of drone technology, stuff like that. There's a lot of negative talk about Joby right now, and I just want to kind of kill it a little bit for those of you that are really in it to win it for Joby. I'm with you on it too. Joby, I think, is sitting at about $16 per share right now in the market close. Let's take a look at it. $16.70. A very good stock. You can see the S&P 500 sort of killed it today, but it had a nice run back up later in the day. But a very good stock. And here's the thing about Joby. There's some issues that they're discussing about payload. And everybody's saying, like, why aren't they reporting what their payload issues are going to be? You know, are they not going to be able to lift off with 1,000 pounds, or not going to lift off with 3,500 pounds, or all these things, right? Well, guys, when they're going through their R&D and testing and all that, they don't have to report any of that to the public. They don't have to tell us what their testing is doing and what they're learning about as they're correcting things. And, you know, they don't have to tell us that. So for those of you that are skeptical, I totally get it. But just know, hey, when they are ready, this thing's going to launch like a rocket, and be ready for it. And forget about the payload, right? Look, if they could figure out how to get, a passenger air, a 747, a 757 with how many people? 200, 300 people on it, you know, up in the air, full of luggage, full of people, you know, with these jet propelled engines. I think Joby can figure out how to get these electric helicopters off the ground, because the technology is amazing. So anyway, I wanted to share that with you. But that's pretty much it. The last thing we do, take a look at the S&P 500. Like I told you, a lot of opportunity, up really nice, but then down, back up, then down. A lot of volatility in the market today, and then a nice end of day pump through the aftermarket. Obviously, market's closed completely, 8 p.m. Friday night. We're shut down till come Sunday night, 8 p.m. So we'll see what it looks like. You know, I always want to see that gap up at 8 p.m. on Sunday night. I'll be looking for that. But aside from that, guys, hey, listen, thank you so much for being here and listening to me babble. If you have not subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the notification bell so you'll be notified every time we upload a new video. And I appreciate you guys so much. Drop me a comment. Let me know how you're doing. What did you do today? What kind of money did you make? What trades did you get in? Good, bad, and ugly. Share it all with us. We're a community of almost 1,300 subscribers. Thank you. But I see many of you that watch the videos haven't subscribed yet. Hit that subscribe button. It's a quick click. And then, hey, listen, you're going to help us out, help the channel, help this community out. Appreciate you guys. Have an awesome weekend. And we will see you on Sunday for the market update based on what it looks like after 8 p.m. Josh out. Peace.